this god and goddess, and how they're meant to be together. Well, for 12 years, Rama is, off in the forest. He has to live the life of an ascetic because his stepmother tricked him. And so he's living in bark, and his wife is following him around. And, she's this royal queen. She's really like out in the forest in bark. She's wearing bark. And at some point, she gets kidnapped by Ravana, the demon. And Ravana wants to ravage her, but she's kind of protected. And so she doesn't get ravaged, but she gets held prisoner at his encampment for many, many, many months. And Rama is out of his mind. He can't find the encampment. Where is his beloved Sita? And so he sends Hanuman on a journey. And this whole story just keeps building and building, all this trauma and drama. And finally, Lord Hanuman finds Sita, and she's trapped in this circle. And Sita has all the days, she just thinks about her beloved, her soulmate. Lord Rama, where are you, Rama? And she just almost loses hope that he's going to come, because so many days have gone by, but she just stays true to Rama. And finally, they rescue her. And wouldn't you know it, Rama's men, after about 3 weeks of wedded bliss where they're finally living together back in the palace, the men get together, all of his, army, and the king's spokesman says to Rama, Lord Rama, Sita must have cheated on you with the demon. She must have. She's impure and she does not belong as our queen. We demand that you get rid of her. And so Rama has got to maintain the respect of his armies. And so he asked Sita, did you, were you disloyal to me? And she says, no, my lord, how could you ask this of me? All I've been very, very faithful to you. And she's just like, oh my God, you gotta be kidding. We've had 12 years of nothing but awful. We've had 3 weeks in the palace, and now you're accusing me of cheating on you? And so here's this crazy, crazy story, and the king's men would not let it alone. They just wouldn't let it alone. They said, she doesn't deserve to be in the palace, you have to do something. And Rama's mind starts working on him, it starts eating away at him, and he starts thinking, I wonder if she did cheat on him. I mean, she was gone a really long time, Did she cheat with Ravana? I don't know. So finally he puts her in front of the whole kingdom, and there's all these witnesses, and he says, I'm going to have to throw you out. I don't know if I can trust you. And she goes, my God, I have been loyal to you. I am innocent. I'm innocent of what you're accusing me of. And so she says, I will prove my innocence. And there's a funeral pyre burning in front of her, like a big, they burn the bodies in India. And so she says, my innocence will be proved. I will go into that fire and I will prove that I'm innocent. If I am not innocent, let me be burned and let me leave you, finally. And if I am innocent, I will go into that fire and I will emerge without a scorch on me. And she walks into the fire, and she stays in the fire for like 10 minutes. And she comes out and she doesn't have a burn on her body. She is completely pure as the driven snow, And you would think that that would convince anyone. You would think that. But because Rama is interested in saving face, he exiles her. He just throws her out of the kingdom. She is now shunned. And rather than killing her, which would be, for adultery, they kill their wives, he sends her to an ashram to live an astute life in the ashram, or an aesthetic life in the ashram. And she's like, oh my God, what nightmare am I in? This is just insane. I can't believe this is happening to me. So she goes off to the ashram and she thinks, well, I'll just pray and pray to my Lord that my husband find heart and come back to me, find his heart, find his mind, and come back to me. Well, she was put into the ashram just weeks after they'd been reunited, but it turns out she was pregnant with twins. And Rama never knew that he had twin boys. He never retrieved her from the ashram, and she was basically under guard. She couldn't leave the ashram. So she gave birth to twin boys in this ashram, And she lived out her life basically of like a bad divorce, you know. It's like she never was ever, she never was reunited with Rama. Rama never actually knew the truth. And eventually, his boys, when they were grown up, and she had passed away, they went into their father's kingdom, and they sang the stories like scriptures, and their father heard of them, these two really beautiful, perfect boys, and they sang the scriptures for their father, and then they revealed who they were to their father, but they were grown at that point. So I did tell you that Hinduism is full of crazy stories about families, and that would be like one kind of crazy divorce, wouldn't it? You know, like, oh my God, that's about as crazy as it gets. So we're going to look at 3 common enmeshment, entanglement that come from breakup behaviors. And we'll briefly explore these concepts, shed light on how the embedded emotions, pain and grief get stuck in the body, and in our meditation we'll be clearing and releasing the energies that no longer support you. So, and this is it. Bummer behaviors for bad breakups. Okay, everybody say that. Bummer behaviors for bad breakups. Okay, one more time. Bummer behaviors for bad breakups. I'm queen of the world. Okay, so the first one is controlling and manipulating, number 1. Number 2, battling, anger, and mudslinging. And number 3, gossiping, storytelling, and a trashing campaign. So we'll be talking about that, and you can turn that off.